Hi, this is Sophia Cartman, host of the Dream Big podcast show. Please to learn, laugh, and grow.
And this is Olga Karpman. Welcome to the Dream Big podcast.
I would like to open this episode with the quote from George Lopez. No particular race is an enemy. Ignorance is the enemy. Each year in America, we observe National Hispanic Heritage Month. By celebrating the history, cultures, and contributions of America's citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. In today's episode, we will talk about the important family values, festivities, and diversities. Stay tuned to the very end, Big Dreamers, to find out a story of a famous painter, a physically strong woman that crumbled with the weight on her shoulders, and a young man who could not any longer hold his truth back.
This is episode 324 of the Dream Big podcast.
And it's time to dream big.
Welcome to the Dream Big podcast show. We're inspiring you to shoot for the moon, take aim and go. We bring to you amazing guests who truly love what they do. Every day they're living their dreams, and so can you. Dream big, take action to reach your goals. Are you pumped yet? It's showtime, let's rock and roll.
Each year, United States celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15 to October 15 to honor the rich Hispanic culture in our communities. It's also a time for all of us to remember the value of diversity. Sophia, did you know that America is often called a melting pot?
Why?
It's a metaphor for a society where many different types of people blend together as one. I'm pretty sure, Big Dreamers, if you talk to your parents or grandparents, you'll hear a family story about how your ancestors got to America at some point. Maybe they came from Latina countries, maybe Europe or Asia, like I did. It doesn't matter where they came from. What really matters is that each culture and each generation helped shape America as we see it today.
By honoring our ancestors and their traditions, we gain a superpower of knowing who we really are and the values we carry in this world. Of course, like a new updated version, like a software and an iPad.
That's right, Sophia. According to researchers, there are about 62 million Hispanics, and it's almost 18% of the population, making this community the largest minority group in the country.
But Mom, which countries are considered Hispanic in the world?
There are many Hispanic countries in the world, and some of them are Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, and Mexico, of course, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, Puerto Rico, Spain, Venezuela, and many others.
One way that we can honor Latin cultures is to remember the remarkable people that made a difference in this world. There are so many of them, and we would just like to talk about one of them, the famous Frida Kahlo. She was one of the most important Mexican artists. She was born in Mexico in 1907. When she was only 5 years old, she suffered a very serious illness called polio, but she was strong and survived. Frida stayed 9 months in her bed until she got better, and her dad encouraged her to play soccer and boxing. Her dad was a really great photographer and a very creative German artist. They got along very well. They talked about the ancient art of Mexico, and he taught her how to use his camera.
She actually at first wanted to be a doctor and went to school for it. Frida grew up during the Mexican Revolution and was aware of the political situation of her country. Unfortunately, at the age of 18, she had an accident on a bus and broke several bones and had to lie down for a long time.
At that moment, she began to paint. She ended up being an author of about 200 works in which she expressed her life and her own suffering. She made portraits of her friends and family, but above all, she painted herself and all of the things that are important to her.
After the revolution in Mexico, the new government hired great artists to paint the walls of public buildings. They painted the history of the town of Mexico so that people could feel proud of their culture and their past. Since 1939, the artistic recognition of Frida's work started growing. She represented various exhibitions and museums all around the world. Unfortunately, her health was very weak, and she died not much after, at the age of 47 years old. Although she was really known during life, it took her a long time to be recognized internationally.
Frida Kahlo has become one of the most respected artists and one of the very iconic women in history. This is one of her very famous quotes. Feet. Why do I need them if I have wings to fly?
Frida Kahlo, Big Dreamers, has become an icon of the people because of her unique personality and her interest in life. She has become an icon for inner strength, for love of Mexico and its culture, and for courage in the face of adversity. Above all, she was a genuine woman who was true to her convictions.
That's a great story, Big Dreamers. And no matter what, remember, you have wings to fly. No matter of struggles and diseases and political situations, you can become who you dream to be. Everything is possible. And like I say, the impossible is always possible. The illness will pass and teach you to be stronger. Keep pushing for it and love what you love. Mom, I love that her dad supported her and helped her through all of her things, even when she couldn't really do it. Speaking of family, I want to discuss one of my favorite Disney movies, inspired by the Colombian culture and its community, and the lesson that we will all learn from it. Guess what it is, Big Dreamers? Mom, drum roll, please.
I think I know what it is.
Encanto! Big Dreamers, have you watched it? If not, please do. It's a great movie that you can learn from. This podcast is a great podcast, and this movie is a great movie. We're very alike.
If you haven't watched it, in a nutshell, it's a movie about one big Colombian extraordinary family of madrigals that lives in a magical forest. Each child of the family is blessed with its unique gift, except one girl, Mirabel. However, this ordinary but spiritually strong young woman may be Madrigal's last hope.
First of all, it's a very colorful and bright movie. And it has lots of singing and dancing. I think it's one of the most things that we can learn from Latin cultures. When I sing and dance, it helps me let emotions out, like sadness and madness. Singing and dancing makes your life more happier, more joyful, and more full. I would recommend that we all incorporate it in our life. Let's start today. So, I'm going to do a quick singing lesson here. Everybody thinks we're okay, and we are, so let's raise the roof, yeah.
Thank you, Sophia, for this freestyle. I love your spirit.
Okay, now back to Encanto and what it teaches us.
The second lesson that we all learn from watching Encanto is the importance of family and its diversity.
Every family has characters, and every family has issues. Every family has its ups and downs. But at the end of the day, we're stronger together. Big dreamers, I encourage you to learn how to communicate in your family. It will prevent a lot of issues further. For example, my dad, I know how to communicate with him. When he's worked out, stressed out, and busy, I know to stay out of his space bubble and be kind to him and support him. That's how I communicate with my dad. Now with my mom, when I think she's getting really angry, I ask her about her patience level. 10 off the chart. 9.9, I need to be careful. And 8, you're okay for now. 5, she's good to go. When you see they're getting serious, kind of ask them how they're feeling. And I'm going to ask my mom this right now. Mom, what's your patience level?
Right now, it's about 5.
She's good to go. With my grandma, I know she likes a lot of attention. So I try to call her often and say please and thank you a lot when I'm at her house. And I give her lots of compliments because I know she loves it. With my sister, I'm kind of scared of her. So when she's in a room, the door is closed, I would never bother her. And when she's out of the room, I like to play with her and ask her, how are you doing? How's your day? What are you doing? A lot of stuff like how, what, where, why. Yeah. And for me, I like when people just be nice to me and consider my ideas and questions. And I think that makes me happy.
So, big dreamers, learn how to communicate with all members of your family. Remember, they all maybe have different language of communication, sort of speak. Learn how to love them, how to accept them, and how to appreciate them. Also, learn what are the traditions of your family. What are the holidays that you love to celebrate together? And make sure to pass them on to the next generation.
The third lesson in our Encanto movie that we like to talk about is that they all have, let's say, some problems. Our mental health is as important as our physical health. In this movie, Mirabel shows that she is a fighter. She is an inspiration and gets to know her real self. She grows and helps those around her. Mirabel shows us that depression can overcome.
She also has a sister. Her name is Luisa, and she's physically very strong woman. But she has too high of expectations of herself and even says, I'm pretty sure I'm worthless if I can't be of service. Big dreamers, does it remind you of anyone?
She hides her true feelings and her desire to rest. Luisa forgets that she can be fragile on the inside.
Her depression becomes more apparent when she cannot perform the way she did before, once her powers begin to lessen. That's a reminder for all of us big dreamers that no matter how we or our loved ones can be strong, we all need to take care of our emotions and speak about them to people we trust. Otherwise, our superpowers, like Luisa's, will start to fade away. Don't be scared to talk about things that bother you. Remember, it's okay not to be okay. And also, doing things for just the approval of others is a very bad idea. Using Luisa as an example, I want to remind you, big dreamers, that we, adults, always know that you are trying your best in everything you do. No matter how strong you are, how talented you are, we know that you continue pushing throughout your entire life, and you will keep going, striving for the best version of you without comparing yourself to others. But always remember that you are loved for who you are, not what you can do or give.
Fourth lesson, let's talk about Bruno.
Oh no, don't talk about Bruno.
No way, Mom. I'm talking about him.
Bruno in the movie is shown as awkward and antisocial person.
It teaches us that everyone has their own struggles, even if they're invisible. But remember, Bruno has a very special gift inside. Yes, maybe he was a little different from his family, but Bruno's gift was bringing light visions of his family and taught us the truth will set you free. We can go on and on about Encanto and its movie lessons. I want you to watch it yourself and have a talk with your family about it. Which character did you like the most? In fact, me and all of our family have a special thing. We have movie night every weekend. My favorite character, I like the Flower Girl. What is yours?
By discussing Encanto and its characters, you can find out a lot about each member of the family. Pay attention what they say and how they react to the characters and their struggles in life. You can think about your own unique gifts and talents, about your vision, your values, your feelings towards one of the other characters. Perhaps it will help you to understand yourself better as well. And definitely it will help you understand Colombian culture a lot.
Big Dreamers, it's my pleasure today to remind you about the National Hispanic Heritage Month, where we had a chance to talk about Hispanic remarkable icon people like Frida Kahlo.
We also learned about Latina culture and life lessons through issues raised in Disney movie Encanto. Thank you, Big Dreamers, so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, then please tell your friends and family about the Dream Big Podcast. You can point them to dreambigpodcast.com/324 for this episode's show notes. Tell your Latina community about this podcast and about these particular episodes. I'm pretty sure they will be very proud of Sophia for raising this important topic on our podcast. We know for a fact if everyone listening would tell just one person about the podcast, that would get our show in front of so many new big dreamers and will inspire them to dream bigger. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes at dreambigpodcast.com/iTunes. We read your reviews and it helps us to get in front of more big dreamers, which is our mission.
Please join us on Instagram, Dream Big Podcast.
I think that's all of the announcements for today, right, Sophia?
Right. As always, thank you so much for tuning into the Dream Big Podcast. This is Sophia Cartman and Olga Cartman reminding you that you have unlimited potential. Your dreams are not optional. You need to make them essential. So take massive action and turn those big dreams into reality. Live with passion the way life was meant to be. See you in the next episode. Bye.